My name is Johnie Johnson. My DOC number is 467-539.
I want to acknowledge some folks who have joined us today. In support on Zoom is Robin Williams, Eric Hatfield, and Melanie Townsend, all who want to speak on your behalf, and we'll call on them in a few minutes. We have some folks also in opposition on Zoom. We have Taylor Hairston here with us in Baton Rouge at DOC headquarters. We have Brittany Murphy, Eugene Murphy, and Miss Leona Fitzgerald from the Caddo DA's office. And we'll hear from those who have indicated they'd like to speak at the appropriate time. First, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record, and then we'll get started with our process. So, Mr. Johnson, you are classified as a first felony offender. You were sentenced in Caddo Parish, March 12, 2003, for a manslaughter conviction. You received a 40-year sentence, which you are currently serving. Your parole eligibility date was September 29, 2021, and your good time mandatory release date is October 6, 2034. Does that information sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Johnson, your case was assigned to me, so we're just going to jump right in. I'd like for you to explain to us why you're in prison, and why do you think, what have you done since you've been there? Why do you think you deserve favorable consideration for early release?
Okay, I'm in here for killing my ex-girlfriend. And since I have been here, I have attended all the schools that I've been that I'm eligible to go to. I have learned so much since I've been here. Through stress management, I've learned how to deal with my stress, and mostly that's by exercise and deep breathing and that kind of thing. I've been to Celebrate Recovery, and I know that I have to depend on Jesus Christ to get me through all my issues. I tend to substance abuse and take it one day at a time. I mean, each day is today, and I don't have to worry about tomorrow. So yeah, I've been to Celebrate Recovery.
Stress management,
I've been in stress management,
living in balance.
and living in the balance, the Cage of Rage, and I think one of the main things is through stress management that I learned that I need to take a deep breath and just really think about what I'm doing. Is it worth me losing everything that I have attained just easier to walk away?
And I did not mention, this is a rehearing for you. You were, as I said earlier, your parole eligibility date is in the past, but you were denied parole in 2022. And for opposition, and we'll hear from the opposition today, both from law enforcement and victims, and there were insufficient programs. So of those programs that you mentioned, which of those did you complete since 2022?
Reentry.
Yes, I see that you did that 100 hours in 2024. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to let us hear from Warden Ackland. What can you tell us about Mr. Johnson?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Johnson has been here at Wade since May of 2003. He's been in our protection unit. This time he has had 2 write-ups since he's been incarcerated, with the last one being in May of 2016. He does have a residence plan to go live in Shongaloo, Louisiana. He has a job plan scheduled for landscaping and leather work. The programs that he mentioned were all completed prior to the initial first parole board hearing. And like I said, the last one was the reentry that he did in 2024. He is not a disciplinary inmate at all. And like I said, he lives in our protection unit. So.
Thank you. We appreciate that information.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll move on and hear from the folks who are here in support. First, could we hear from Robin Williams, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, tell us what you'd like. What's your relationship to Mr. Johnson and what would you like us to know?
We've been friends for 37 years. He and my husband were co-workers. Um, and during that time, Johnie has been nothing but a great friend. He, of course, I don't condone what he did. That was a horrific mistake he made, but he has a plan. He's innovative. He has the work ethic. He's not a violent man, other than that one incident. Um, he's more than paid his dues, I believe. He's lost, during his incarceration, he's lost his parents. He has never met his grandchildren. Um, a number of friends and family have turned their backs on him. But he does have a family, his sisters, his daughter, his friends, in us. Um, I believe he's served, of course, these last 24 years. That's 60% of his sentence, and I believe he is more than paid his dues for this offense. I feel really bad for the family, but I think he's due.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
We hear from Melanie Townsend, please.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Melanie. I've known Johnie most of my life. Our fathers were really close friends growing up. What I know about Johnie is I know that he feels remorse, and I know that, if he could go back and redo that day in his life again, he would. He has served his time, and I know that he wishes to be a productive member of society. He's not dangerous to anyone. Uh, Johnie is not the sum total of that one bad decision he made, and he's tried to make amends in every way that he can. Um, I know him to be a good person. I do. There is a lot of good in Johnie, and he will be welcome here at our family ranch with myself and my mom, who's now 89 and dearly loves Johnie. He'll have a place, a good, safe place here to reacclimate into life and to be, get his feet on the ground. I know he's prepared for that in every way he possibly can. Um, I know we're all redeemable, and I know what he did was wrong, and it was a horrible day for the family. But Johnie can only go forward to make positive choices in his life, if given that opportunity. And I fully support that, and I do believe he has served his time. I hope you give him the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And then we have Mr. Hatfield. Mr. Hatfield? Oh, he was unable to connect, but he does is listed as here in support, and that was an employer, I believe. Next, we will hear from the opposition before we have our interview. And so, Ms. Fitzgerald, I'll let you decide who goes first.
Can Taylor go first?
Sure.
Yeah, what is he? Mr. Hatfield? Oh, I'm sorry, we'll do Mr. Hatfield. He's on the phone. I'm sorry, I apologize. Mr. Hatfield?
Yes, ma'am. How are you this morning?
Good, I'm sorry. Go ahead and tell us what you'd like us to know about Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I know Mr. Johnson through my grandparents and my great grandparents, all his family, they all kind of grew up together. And so I didn't know this all growing up, but I've known him. I've been speaking with him for the past year or so, and I've gone to meet with him a few times, and I'd like to offer him, and I've offered him some employment when he gets out. So in other words, he can come to Shreveport if he's coming to Shreveport, and I'll offer him a full-time position with our development company, doing whatever he's capable of doing. I do believe that I've talked to him numerous times over the past few years or however long it's been, and my grandparents spoke very highly of him, and so I realized everything happens. People have all kinds of crazy things that happen in their life that you never know until you get in their situation, how you would react, or how you would act when it would happen. A lot of times those things have severe consequences. But I do believe that people learn, they learn more from their own mistakes than they would learn from anyone else. And I do believe that after meeting with him, that he is kind and compassionate and very remorseful for what happened in the past. And I'm definitely willing to take a chance and use him with our company, and I've had them around our children, whatever else comes along.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hatfield. We appreciate you phoning in.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, so now we'll hear from Mr. Murphy. No, that's, oh yeah, I'm sorry.
He's on Zoom.
Okay, sure. Taylor?
Yes, I'll go. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Hairston, and I'm the youngest son of Jamie Hairston. 10 days after I turned 10 years old, Johnie murdered my mother. The impact of that loss has been profound for me, my brother, and for our entire family, and it still affects us to this day. When Johnie chose to kill my mom, he didn't just end her life. He robbed me of a lifetime of experiences that I should have had with her. He stole moments like graduations, birthdays, holidays, weddings, events that she should have been there for, but wasn't. I was only able to spend 10 short years with my mom, but even those memories were taken away when he chose to kill her. I guess it was a way to cope with the trauma, but my childhood memories before her death have become distant and fragmented. I don't have a clear recollection of much prior to the day that she died. Instead, I spend my time trying to piece those memories together from home videos, photos, stories that my family has shared with me. The first true memory I have related to my mom is of the day that she died and the events that followed. What I remember is riding towards my house. My dad was driving the car. I was 10 years old, and I see police cars, police lights, crime scene tape, and then soon being told that she was dead. Today, I should be able to talk with my mom about those early years of my life, share experiences, and make new memories with her, but that's impossible. Something that I don't speak about often is how Johnie's decision to kill my mom affects my everyday life. I probably haven't even spoken about this publicly before. Like my brother, I've struggled with anxiety and depression for the past 24 years since all of this happened. Losing a parent at such a young age is one of the worst things that can probably happen to a kid. The pain, the fear, the uncertainty of that experience has left me with a constant dread, an anxiety of what bad things might happen to me or the people that I care about. In most every situation, my mind goes straight to the worst case scenario because at 10 years old, Johnie showed me what that could be. That kind of anxiety often affects the decisions that I make, where I go, what I do, the precautions I take when doing so. And to be honest, it's exhausting. It steals the joy that I should feel in so many parts of my life. So as you can see, the murder of my mother has had a lasting effect on my family, but Johnie didn't think about that. Even as a parent himself, he didn't stop to think about what his actions would do to a 10-year-old boy, my family, or even his own family and kids. Instead, he pulled the trigger. Nothing will really make this better, but knowing that he's in jail, serving his sentence, and facing the consequences of his actions gives us some relief. He was sentenced to 40 years, and shortening that sentence will only cause more pain and suffering for our family. Granting his early release would strip us of any justice we've received. With that said, I do oppose Mr. Johnson's early release and ask that you please deny his clemency. Thanks for the time and the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. All right. Now, Mr. Murphy. Yeah, if you can move over there, then we can get you on the camera, if that's okay. Yeah, just.
That's good.
That's perfect.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Sorry. Wow, that's kind of tough. I have a prepared statement, just chat. I too am here as the son of Jamie Harrison, to echo my brother, carrying the weight of this unimaginable trauma of grief and loss. I don't want to necessarily spend too much time on the crime itself, just because I feel like this should be more in line with post the tragedy. But I do want to take you back just for a minute, just to where you know where I'm coming from. It was a normal Saturday. I'm getting ready to watch a football game. My brother was going away for the weekend with his dad. Like I said, it was seemed to be a normal Saturday until Mr. Johnson decided to show up to our residence. Him and my mother had been estranged for a handful of weeks. During that time, Mr. Johnson was seen at the top of my road, stalking our home at all hours of the night. He was still friends with sheriff's officers who lived on our road, so he would go spend time in their driveway, staring down the road at our house in the cul-de-sac. And as a law enforcement officer, to echo him, learn to walk away. He was trained that. After multiple decades on the sheriff's department, he was trained to tell families on calls, walk away. He did the opposite. He continuously interjected himself into our road, single lane road on a cul-de-sac where he could watch our home. He showed up that morning, again, been gone. He had already resigned from the sheriff's department during that time frame, so he was no longer a law enforcement officer. I watched him and my mother stand outside his vehicle for a short period of time. Then all of a sudden, she came inside. At that moment, you could see a state of fear, shock, and panic. I tried to say what was wrong. I couldn't get the words out because I too had the weight of, I guess you would say, fear come over me. I got up. At that time, I was able to walk a little bit more than I can now. My mom said, call 911, and she threw a cordless phone at me. At that point, I didn't understand really what was happening. I'm 4'11". My mother was 5'1". She weighed about 130 pounds. I weigh about 120 pounds. Mr. Johnson is a trained law enforcement officer that's well over 6 feet and weighs 250 pounds. The two of us began fighting. He mumbled under his breath, Jamie, it's time, it's time. And at that moment, he picked her up, threw her over his shoulders, and walked out of our residence. The only thing I knew to do was try to grab her. But again, the strength of that grown man, I was no match for that. The only thing I knew at that point was to go get my gun. To echo my brother, I've never gone a day since that day without a gun in my possession. It stays in the car, it stays on me every day of the week. I too live in constant fear of what the world could do. I live in constant fear that if that man gets out of prison, what he would come back and do, because I know that I've taken 20 years from him because of what he took from me. He's got another 20 to go. I'll get to that in a minute. I was able to get my gun, but I didn't feel like I had time to get the key. So I tried to beat my gun cabinet that was glass to break it. At that moment, I did not know, but Mr. Johnson had shot my mother 3 times. But I was so deep into my residence and beating on my gun cabinet that I didn't hear the gunshots. So when I obtained my firearm and I went to the front of our house, there was about 10 seconds of just darkness of tunnel vision. And I had my firearm aimed at the back of that man's head while he was driving up my street. I did not pull the trigger because at that time I thought that he had kidnapped my mother. I thought she was in that vehicle and I didn't want to live with the fact that I would accidentally shoot her. So I'm on the phone with 911. I chased that man through the city of Blanchard and Caddo Parish. I lost him. 911 told me to go back home. I'm going about 100 miles an hour to get back home because that's what they told me to do. I was unable to brake, and so when I went into my driveway, I went over my heel. And when I came to a stop, I saw my mother laying on our grassy knoll behind her home. I got out. Again, I had no idea what I was going up to. But I saw my mother laying lifeless and full of her own blood. My mother had been shot in the back of the head. Her tongue, her eyes, everything was coming out of front of her face. I had to live with these images every day of my life. I'm 42 years old, and I was 18 years old at the time. That's my sleeping pill. It never goes away. At his trial, Mr. Johnson never looked at me. My testimony, I was in the courtroom because I don't know the terminology. But I waived my right to be recalled as a witness because I wanted to be in the courtroom. I wanted to hear what he had to say. He never looked at me. He never showed remorse. He never showed emotion. Instead, he tried to make himself a victim. He lied, he deflected, he blamed. This man had previously threatened public officials during my mother and his relationship. He threatened his then sitting boss, the sheriff of Caddo Parish. He threatened multiple businessmen that grew up with my mother. He threatened basically any man that she knew because if he couldn't have her, nobody else would. After he committed this act of violence, he called his daughter and he called my grandfather and told them just that he did it and that he couldn't have them, nobody else would. Let me be absolutely clear. I 1000% oppose Mr. Johnson getting released on parole. As my brother stated, I also have 2 children. Both of my children have my disability. I've had to go at this alone with my wife. We're at children's hospitals trying to get their treatment, making sure that they don't progress the way that I progress. My mother would have been an expert in my disability as she was. We don't have that to fall back on. Countless birthdays, holidays, we won't get those. My mother doesn't get a parole hearing. My mother doesn't get to do good time classes to come back from the grave to join us. She's gone forever. You have to go to a cemetery and a headstone. Go to her in quiet time and prayer. That's all we do. Whether Mr. Johnson's incarcerated, he gets his family. He can talk to his family. He gets visitors, as Mr. Hatfield said. He's visited him. He gets that. We don't. My mother's gone forever until the day that we see her in heaven. I'm asking you to deny that man's parole. Keep him in prison for what the trial court said and the appellate court said. He deserves life. I'll settle for 40. Please deny his parole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Ms. Fitzgerald.
Good morning. I'm Leanne Fitzgerald. I'm representing the Cutter Parish DA's office today. We are very much opposed to parole for Mr. Johnson. I mean, I don't know what I can say to follow that up that would be any more convincing to the parole board, but I am standing here wondering if I missed something because, I didn't hear Mr. Johnson. I heard him talk about what he's done and why he should get parole, but I didn't hear anything about Jean and Taylor and Miss Hairston, remorse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the kids. I think about the kids. I wish I could go back. All I heard was these classes he's taken on conflict resolution and, you know, no offense, but he was a trained deputy. I'm sure he can benefit from the programs in the prison system, but was he not already trained in conflict resolution and de-escalation techniques? So those all went out the window, in September of 2001. So I'm really disappointed in his comments today. And, you know, what he took was Miss Hairston. I knew her. She was a beautiful, vivacious mom. She was very sociable. She worked at my bank. She was a chatty one, I think everybody would say, and I would talk to her when I went in the bank. You knew that her boys were her life and her world, and she took care of them. She was a busy single mom, just, you know, they were just a normal family. And, so I think that Mr., you know, throughout the trial, as Jean mentioned, Mr. Johnson tried to deflect and, blame, you know, Miss Hairston for basically making him lose his mind and kill her. And so my office contends that this is a second-degree murder. That is what Mr. Hairston was charged with. He chose a bench trial, and he received the benefit of being convicted by a judge of the responsive verdict of manslaughter, and he was given 40 years. So in our opinion, we will always firmly believe in the Caddo DA's office that Mr. Johnson has already benefited from a reduced charge and a reduced sentence than what the law says he actually did. So there are just some traumas that these boys experienced that are really unimaginable. As Taylor said, he was 10 years and 10 days old when he lost his mom, his caretaker, and the stable home environment that he had been living in. Jean fought for his mother's life. He didn't just get a call that your mom is deceased. He was there. He lived it. He fought for her. He discovered her. Jean's 911 call is the most heart-wrenching thing that I have ever heard in all of my years. So, you know, there are some bells that cannot be unrung. There are no amount of programs. There's no number of classes to make up for the devastation that he chose to cause. So, you know, who else hasn't met their grandchildren? With all due respect to Miss Williams, Jamie Hairston has never met her 4 grandchildren. And that's by no doing of Miss Jamie Hairston. That's by Johnie Johnson's doing, that he hasn't met his grandchildren, nor has Jamie Hairston. So I really don't, you know, have any sympathy in my heart there for that. But the best 2 reasons to deny parole to Johnie Johnson are right here: Jean Murphy and Taylor Hairston. And 40 years is a very appropriate, if not generous, sentence for what Mr. Johnson did. And really the only way for justice to be served in this case is for Mr. Johnson to serve his 40 years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Johnson, your case was assigned to me, so I have just a few questions and then I'll depart on my colleagues. How How long had you worked for how long were you a deputy?
17 and a half years.
So all the training that's been referenced, you were afforded all those training opportunities through the Law Enforcement Training Academy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And we talked about programs, and one of which I didn't hear was victim awareness. Have you taken any victim awareness training classes?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Well,
what
what did you get out of it?
There's never just one victim. With Jane and Taylor, they're victims, the rest of their family, as well as my family and my kids. Because, I mean, with me being in here, I can't be there to support them. There's no way that I could apologize enough to them. In my last hearing, I did. And although the story has changed a little bit since what actually happened, I mean, I know that when I testified in court, in front of Judge Mosley, a lot of the things that I said in that courtroom, now with Taylor and Jean, they're kind of twisting it around a little bit because that's not exactly what happened.
Right. I've heard from your friends that spoke on your behalf that you've been doing everything you can to make amends. Tell us what that has been.
Well, you know, I can't reach out to either one of them, but I've done all the schools that I could do. I pray regularly that God will forgive me and they will be able to forgive me. That's all that I know that I can do.
And one more question is, it has been said this morning that you have more than paid your dues. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am. I think I have. I know back prior to 1995, the most you could get for manslaughter was 21 years, and you only did a third of that. But since they changed the sentencing guidelines and all, I feel like I have done my time. I'm very remorseful for what I've done. I still have problems sleeping at times because of what happened that day. And I hate it for Taylor and Jean. I mean, I can't go back. That's the only thing I can move forward and maybe make amends to them in another way. That's to be seen.
All right, I have no other questions.
I want to ask you something. You said that the young men, her sons, Taylor and Jean, that they twisted facts. Let me ask you something. Did you go over to her house?
I went back to the house that morning because I was returning their rods and reels they had left in my boat.
Okay,
And
so y'all got into what? An argument?
Oh, she stood out there on the side of on my truck because of course, they printed and DNA and everything. We was out there for over an hour. At that time, Mr. Harrison.
I'm just going to quickly go through a progression things because you said they twisted facts. Okay, so there was a verbal argument by the side of your truck. You said you were returning rods and reels and stuff. Y'all had broken up. You had been let go from the sheriff's office. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was because y'all were arguing so bad, there were some problems with that, and they didn't think that you were fit for duty. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so must have been pretty hot over something like that. So she was the cause actually of you being fired because of this going on between y'all. It reflected on you being a sheriff's deputy, and then you got fired.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're over there, you're doing rods and wheels, y'all broken up. You go in the house? What brings you in the house?
No, what happened was we had been talking out there for about an hour.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, Mr. Harrison came to get Taylor for a visitation. Okay. I had gone over there.
But I'm not going to pick up a lot of times. I want to ask this. So did you pick her up and put her in the truck? Or did you pick her up? Like Jean said.
Let me tell you before that. We went into the shed in the back because I was going to disconnect my electricity because it was going to be moved the next week. That I had a storage shed that was built and moved. Okay. Once we got in there, she said, "Don't you love me? Don't you miss me?" And I said, "Yes, I do. You know I do." We had
Okay.
consensual sex, which was proven in the trial, and they said that. I mean, when we got through, we went around and she went in the front of the house, and she said, "Gene, get your gun. Call 911. He just raped me." And I'm going, "I didn't rape you." And she said, "Who do you think they're gonna believe, me or you?"
Okay.
That's how I had originally met her, was on a call where she had lied on a guy.
Let me ask,
And
let's just skip to the part. How did you get your gun and shoot her at the residence? How did that happen?
okay,
And skip everything else, just that part.
when I went into the house, I was
Uh-huh.
not armed at all.
Okay.
When I got in there, she told Gene, she said, "Get your gun, dial 911. He just
Okay.
raped me."
Okay.
Gene went to go get the gun,
It's
but
fun.
I didn't know that his gun cabinet was locked. I didn't know anything like that. And I said, "Jamie, come on, let's go outside. Let's talk. You know, you're losing your mind here." So we get outside, and I didn't know if Jane was coming with the gun right then or whatever.
Okay.
I got my gun out of my truck, and I took her behind the
Uh-huh.
house. That's when I shot her.
Why her? She was unarmed.
That's when I just lost all cool reflection. I mean, that was a heat of the moment thing. I mean, I said, I can't, you know, my mind was going, I know, because that's how I met her to begin with. She
Okay.
lied on somebody else.
All right, so I'm gonna finish questioning, and Gene and Taylor, thank you for your comments about your mother and how your life has was changed forever on that day. And it takes a lot of bravery to do that. Thank you for coming forward. That's all I needed to know.
I have any questions.
All right, and I don't see any other questions, Mr. Johnson. I think we are prepared to vote. Your case was mine, so I'll be voting first. My vote today, Mr. Johnson, is going to be to deny your parole. There's lots of opposition that you've heard today. There's more in the record that we have by law enforcement and others. What got me today is you seem to be blaming Ms. Hairston for what happened to her. I think, I don't think that you're being accountable for what happened. So my vote today is to deny your parole.
I concur with Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Freeman.
I concur, law enforcement opposition and victim opposition.
All right, Mr. Johnson, today your parole's been denied, sir.
Okay.
Let me know what you think about this case in the comments below. Was manslaughter a fair charge considering the facts? Let me know and hit subscribe for a new video every week.